Moving on, is there trouble in Orchard Park? Marcel Darius and Mario Williams question Rex Ryan's play calling after Sunday's loss. Percy Harvin is dealing with some personal issues, and now, on top of that, according to ESPN's Football Power Index, there are 6 AFC teams with over a 70% chance of making the playoffs. Buffalo, not one of them. The Bills have a 30% chance of playing in the postseason. Skip, do you still have the Bills as a wild card team?
Molly, Stephen A., I'm hanging in with those Bills as a wild card team, sort of the way you're hanging in with your Seahawks as a Super Bowl team and your Colts as a Super Bowl team, though you're really wavering on the Colts. But I'll be the first to admit I do not love what I have been seeing. The offensive struggles are understandable. The defensive struggles are unforgivable for a coach whose calling card is defense. A coach in Rex Ryan who I was convinced would have at least a top 5 defense this year. And maybe it'll turn back into one, but right now they're 16th in points allowed, which ain't very good for Rex Ryan. And by the way, Dennis Thurman is now calling defenses for Rex Ryan. At least that's what we're told. I know Dennis. I've given Dennis credit before. I've got to blame him now because maybe he's calling the defenses that Darius is taking shots at. Okay. So, but Rex philosophically is obviously the defensive coordinator. So, offensively, they have had injury upon injury upon injury. And when you have these kind of injuries, you're going to struggle because I think you had doubts about Tyrod going in. I didn't know for sure. I thought he could be pretty good. He's been very good when he's been healthy because I remind you, they wiped out Andrew Luck in that opener 27-14 and Tyrod starred in that game. And then against the Patriots, they did put up ultimately 32 points with 402 total yards. I thought Tyrod was pretty sensational in that game, even though he threw 3 picks that hurt them. Then they went to Miami and scored 41, but that's with some health. But when you start losing LaShawn McCoy and you don't have Sammy Watkins much, then you're going to struggle because they're not great offensively. I just thought they were going to be better than everybody thought, and they were until they started losing players. And now Tyrod can't play last week. E.J. Manuel gets thrown in, and they're just not good enough to beat the Cincinnati Bengals even in Orchard Park. So I get all that. I don't get the defense. They've lost Kyle Williams, who's an anchor of the defensive line for about a month with a sprained knee. Okay, but that's not enough to say, oh, wow, the defense is decimated. It's not decimated. Most of those players are pretty healthy, and they're not responding to the new coach, Rex Ryan, who I've called the best defensive coach in pro football, even better than Bill Belichick. And I don't know, maybe they're still reeling from what Tom Brady did to them because I think they thought they would again have Tom Brady's number. And obviously he put up a real quick 37 on them that got to 40 ultimately, and they won 40-32. Right. And he threw a party on Rex Ryan, his former nemesis. So in the end, I'm hanging barely with my wild card pick.
Well, you go ahead and you do that. They weren't my wild card pick. They're not going to be. I picked the Jets, and I'm happy that I did that because this is one of the things that I feared. First of all, you got 6 or 7 different checks going on at a time with a defensive assignment. Guys simply don't know what they're doing. We don't know whether that's Rex Ryan or Thurman or both, but that's the situation. They're the 16th ranked defense in the NFL. We were debating prior to the season whether or not they'd be 1 or 2.
Sure.
And that was
I agree.
16th, and they're 23rd against the pass. Against Tom Brady, Andy Dalton, Eli Manning combined, all in Buffalo, 921 yards, 9 touchdowns, just 1 INT and a 105 passer rating. This is what they've done against these quarterbacks. So this is abysmal. There's no question about it. And I think the time has arrived where we start. We've modified our positions on Rex on several occasions. We've said that he doesn't know much about offense, but he's brilliant defensively. But we've also credited him with being a leader of men. No. A legitimate question can now be brought into the fold about this. Is he a leader of men or just a friend of them? There's a difference. You know, he gets along with guys. But let's think about the culture that exists. Sammy Watkins comes out and goes to the media to lament the state of affairs where he feels he should be targeted at least 10 times a game. He's only been targeted 4 times a game. He goes out and he does that. What is Rex's response? Well, we totally understand it. And E.J. Manuel agreed with Rex. Like, wow, what a vote of confidence. Are you kidding me? You're the coach. Could you imagine if Sammy Watkins had done that to Bill Belichick? We might not be fine. We might not be able to find Sammy Watkins for the rest of the season. He'd be so deep in the doghouse, we'd be looking for him. Okay, we'd be throwing one of those dog biscuits Rex Ryan actually ate. And we'd be throwing those crumbs all over the place.
Although,
for
if Sammy played for Belichick, he wouldn't even dream of doing that,
that's what was mind-boggling when these guys spoke out after Watkins.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought they would have learned.
So it speaks to exactly where I was going. Because what happens is that the willingness to speak out. This is why individuals in positions of authority are incredibly reticent about connecting on a personal level with subordinates. Why? Because subordinates occasionally, anyway, tend to forget who is the authoritative figure. And when you have something like that, you're going to develop a bad culture.
Yep.
And that is what is going on with Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan, I like him personally. I respect his knowledge as a football mind, his brilliance as a defensive mind. But he has shown we have more than 3 years of evidence now that he's not a leader. He's more like a fan. And as a result, the players jump ship. And if we want to sit here, Skip, and take it a step further and teach young minds, aspiring athletes out there, what to think about and what to look for, you might shun authority on occasion, but at the end of the day, you respect it. Because those who aspire to be leaders and aspire to be great are always looking to be led first. And what we're seeing from Rex Ryan is an individual who's not leading.
Yeah.
Subordinates are standing up. They are not treating him like the boss. And he's not acting like the boss.
Okay.
And it is costing him.
So were those back-to-back AFC Championship game appearances by Rex Ryan just a fluke?
No, they weren't a fluke, but they were a byproduct, Skip, of the level of futility that had sifted through the city of New York as it pertained to the Jets for a very, very, very long time. Remember, they hadn't been to an AFC Championship game before that since Bill Parcells was coaching them. So it had been a long time, and they were so inept for so long. He was a breath of fresh air, not just to the city and the fan base, but to the players. They were excited about having him. They were happy to have him, and the fact that he was a relatable figure to them was a very, very big deal. But ultimately, people in the NFL figure you out, and all that bluster amounts to a hill of beans. John Madden, according to an article that I read in the Buffalo News, was at the Hall of Fame, you know, and he was talking about how he knew how Rex Ryan had eaten a dog biscuit. And, you know, he was talking about it in fun, and he was very respectful. But he said, ultimately, when you are a head coach in the National Football League, you are not judged by your personality. You are judged by your success. Rex Ryan makes headlines. Rex Ryan is full of energy and enthusiasm and bluster, as the article said. And if that were the case, Vince McMahon for the WWE would be a head coach. But he's not, okay? That's Rex Ryan's job. He hasn't been acting like it, and the players are exposing his level of ineptitude and his dereliction of duty as a head coach for the Buffalo Bills. He needs to get it together before he loses his team.
By the way, real quick point of order. For Herm's sake, we have Coach Herman Edwards. He had a couple of really good teams with the Jets also. So you got to give him his...
Herm?
Yeah, before Rex.
Sure.
You said it had been a dearth of winning in New York.
No, what I'm saying is, but there was no AFC Championship game appearance.
No, but they got...
No disrespect to Coach Herm. Listen, he made the playoffs a couple of times, but they were never a real threat to get to the Super Bowl. Let's just call it what it is.
No, but I mean, they were pretty good.
Well, they were all right. Yeah. They were all right. Okay. I tell Herm that to his face, and I love Coach Herm. Right. But they were all right. They weren't going anywhere. Okay. The Jets had a chance, and then they went from that to complete irrelevancy over the next 3 years. They regressed each year. Okay. That's a fact.
All right. And he did eat the dog. He took a bite of the dog biscuit because it was a promotion, like be kind to dogs.
Listen,
or something.
I'm sorry.
Right?
You know what, Skip Bayless and
he didn't just suddenly eat a dog biscuit.
Stop it. Skip Bayless and Stephen A. have been invited to do a lot of things throughout the years, especially as our success on First Take has elevated exponentially. Do you see Stephen A. Smith eating a damn dog biscuit? How about Skip?
I'm a big no.
You wouldn't waste calories on that dog biscuit.
Let me tell you something right now. Nobody better not come to me and ask me to eat some damn dog biscuit.
All right.
No,
it
but
better not happen.
Back on target to what we were saying.
That is on target.
This defense was fourth in scoring last year. So he inherited this ridiculous defense, and we all thought it was one of the storylines of the summer. Now we're going to have Rex Ryan there. They're going to be off the charts, and it just hasn't happened.
Rex Ryan is a damn good football mind on the defensive side of the ball. But I do think a legitimate argument could be made that he's too busy befriending players instead of coaching them.
Yep.
And it's costing him. And if he's not careful, it's going to cost him his career as a head coach. Because after this, if this don't work out, Rex ain't getting another chance as a head coach. He'll be a coordinator, but he ain't getting another chance as a head coach if this don't work out. He better get it together.
If the offensive players start to get healthy again, and Percy Harvin always has an issue with his health or some other issue off the field, I like Percy a lot. We had him on the show, but now he's another. He's been left. You mentioned that. I can't remember. He's been left home.
He's dealing. And Tyrod Taylor's optimistic that whole.
And I don't know if he's going to be able to play or not, Tyrod. But if they get healthy, I still like them to get hot. There's too much talent.
You can like them to get hot all you want to. We know that we expect them to beat Jacksonville.
London.
You know, Gus Johnson. Gus. I don't know how long he's going to last with his job.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is, y'all. Y'all been around too long. Y'all know what time it is. You look at Rex Ryan, you know when a coach ain't coaching because he's too busy befriending folks. Authority is to be respected first, not liked.
All right.
You should hang out with my dad. His favorite thing saying to me growing up, I'm not your friend, I'm your father.
That's right.
I was scared of him.
I say that all the time.
Which of these guys would you start your NBA franchise with? We're switching gears to the association up next. We'll get into that on the other side of the break.